Hello, beautiful morning to you and welcome to Breakfast News at 8. I am David Okpokwasile. We begin from the Cathedral Church of St. Faith, Oka, where the Archbishop, Province of the Niger, and Bishop of Oka Diocese, Most Reverend Alexander Ibezim, has urged ministers of God to emulate Jesus Christ in holiness and righteousness and shun all forms of ministerial distractions. The prelate made the call at the Cathedral Church of St. Faith, Oka, during a special service to mark the 2023 Monday, Thursday. Religion correspondent Amaka Chibuzo Koye filed the report.
The special service was held to commemorate Christ's Passover feast with his disciples and to reenact Christ's ministry of service. In his admonition, Archbishop Ibezim reminded the ministers of the principles of growth in the ministry and to carefully study their Bible, teach and preach the word of God, and heal the sick as it is their duties to do so. He maintained that ministerial distractions can be spiritual or physical, and if not properly handled, it will drive away their focus from propagating the gospel of God.
You are to heal. That's the ministry God has given you. You are a teacher. You are to teach them to do the correct thing. You are a preacher. If you are not preaching in that community, you are failing God.
The celebration was also a moment for the priests of the diocese to rededicate themselves and renew their vows to God before the Archbishop. During the occasion, the diocesan legal team administered the oath of canonical obedience, submissions, allegiance to God, and oath against bisexuality and homosexuality on the priest. The service also featured consecration of chrism and washing of feet of the priests and wives by the Archbishop.
Catholic faithful across Oka Catholic Diocese gathered at St. Patrick's Cathedral Oka to celebrate this year's Mass of Sacred Chrism and Catechicum. The Pontifical High Mass was officiated by the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese, Most Reverend Paulinus Ezokafo. Our correspondent, Blessing Dennis, filed the report.
Mass was attended by over 1,000 members of clergy and the religious of the diocese. The governor of Anambra State, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, and the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 general elections, Mr. Peter Obi. During the chrism mass, priests of the diocese renewed their ordination vows and pledged their commitment and dedication to the work of God, while Bishop Ezokafo blessed the three oils of consecration for the chrism, which are the oil of the sick, the oil of the catechumens, and the oil of the chrism. In a homily at the Mass, the bishop said that the journey of priesthood comes with a lot of civic responsibilities that require persistence, steadfastness, devotion, and prayerful life, which will help priests to fulfill tasks given to them, adding that the essence of the Mass remains rooted in the priesthood, highlighting the unity of the priests with their bishops. Bishop Ezokafo noted that being a priest is a great grace, not only for the priests themselves, but also for the people they serve, and charged them to live up to their responsibilities in preaching the gospel of God. He further urged parishioners to continue to encourage and pray for their priests and seminarians.
So we as Christians should also live our lives as men of resurrection, men of a new life. And that should appear in our various places of work and businesses and whatever.
Speaking during the Mass, Governor Soludo, represented by Chief of Staff, Mr. Ernest Ezadri, underscored the developmental achievements of his administration since assumption of office and enjoined Anambra to contribute their quota to making Anambra a livable homeland. Governor Soludo made it clear that performing one's civic responsibilities is very paramount and should not be neglected, stating that their mandate is to make Anambra environment clean, green, and sustainable, and urged attendees at the Mass to key into the Operation Clean, Green, and Sustainable initiative. Special rendition by the choir and thanksgiving added glamour to the chrism mass.
Anambra State Command of the Nigerian Peace Corps has commended the Nigerian Senate for adopting the report for the Conference Committee to harmonize the bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Peace Corps. The Conference Committee set up earlier this year by both the Senate and the House of Representatives completed its assignment on Wednesday last week. Chibuzo Bidike tells us more.
Representatives had adopted the report on Thursday, March 30th, 2023. A harmonized report of the conference committee, which was laid and adopted by the Senate during plenary last Tuesday, showed the upper chamber adopted the version of the bill as passed by the House of Representatives. According to the commandant for the state command, Mr. Innocent Okolo, the conference committee was set up to harmonize and reconcile Clause 38, subsection 1 of the version passed by the Senate, which conflicts with the version passed by the House of Representatives as contained under Clause 38, subsection 1. He pointed out that whereas the Senate version seeks to the dissolution of the existing Peace Corps of Nigeria and the National Unity and Peace Corps, the House of Representatives version solely recommended the transformation of Peace Corps of Nigeria into the Nigerian Peace Corps when assented to by the President. He said that the adoption of the report by both the Senate and the House of Representatives has brought to its logical conclusion every legislated process involved in the enactment of a bill. He concluded that it has cleared the course for the transmission of this all-important bill to Mr. President for assent. Commandant Okolo said that the state command is ready to hit the ground running upon President Buhari's assent, as the command has embarked on training and retraining of staff and the engagement of the state government's function requests pending their legalization.
So we are making every arrangement to see how we will prepare the minds of our officers and men to prepare them against the task ahead, so that they will be 100% on ground, well equipped to face the challenge once that assent is given.
The bill, among others, seeks to establish the Nigerian Peace Corps as a body charged with the responsibility to develop, empower, and provide gainful employment to youth, facilitate peace, volunteerism, community service, neighborhood watch, and nation building. In Awka, Chibuzo Obidike, ABS News.
Anambra Governor's wife, Mrs. Noy Soludo, says one of the fundamental social problems threatening today's society is the seeming neglect by most parents to question the sudden source of wealth of their children. The governor's wife, who stated this in Awka, observed that many parents, out of undue urge, have abandoned the primary ethos of truth, honesty, and principle in child upbringing, including moral inculcation and value traditional etiquettes. Such costly parental neglect, she noted, has resulted in many negativities that are bedeviling today's society, with crimes, misdemeanors slowly becoming institutionalized to the detriment of hard work and genuine means of survival. Mrs. Soludo further explained that in a case where parents deliberately refuse to question the source of their children's sudden wealth, especially when it appears questionable, they have directly approved mediocrity and fueled moral depreciation. The governor's wife, who appealed to parents and guardians to immediately wake up to their responsibilities, reminded them that the society they envisage for the next generation may not happen if the current social errors are not urgently corrected. She said that it is time for all parents, guardians, social engineers, and every other stakeholder to come together and reassess their roles in child and societal development with a view to tackling the issue of morality. Mrs. Soludo also stated that the age-long values of hard work must be widely preached and appreciated among families, while parents and caregivers must also appreciate the success pace of their children or words. She also suggested the reappraisal of most family ethos, especially as they concern child upbringing, with a closer look at the kind of moral platforms that parents are building for their children. The world recently celebrated World Health Day. The day is a global health awareness day celebrated every year on the 7th of April under the sponsorship of the World Health Organization as well as other related organizations. In 1948, the World Health Organization held the first World Health Assembly and decided to celebrate 7th April of each year as World Health Day with effect from 1950. The World Health Day is seen as an opportunity by the organization to draw worldwide attention to a subject of major importance to global health each year. WHO organizes international, regional, and local events on the day, and it is acknowledged by various governments and non-governmental organizations with interest in public health issues. Speaking on the significance of the day, the Executive Secretary, Anambra State Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Mrs. Chisomo Uchem, said that the day avails government at all levels and other related organizations the need to put more efforts in ensuring adequate healthcare delivery for all citizens. Mrs. Uchem maintained that the government of Professor Chukwuma Soludo is working assiduously to ensure that Ndi Anambra have adequate, accessible, and effective healthcare system that will help the state to achieve universal health coverage. She assured that under her leadership, residents of the state will witness an improved and result-oriented primary healthcare system in line with Governor Soludo's agenda of bringing healthcare services closer to the people at the grassroots level, as well as rural areas. The theme for the 2023 World Health Day is Health for All, and it aims at creating an opportunity for the world to look back at the public health successes that have helped to improve the quality of life over the past 70 years. The Nigerian Medical Students Association, NIMSA, has opposed the bill by the House of Representatives to mandate Nigerian-trained medical or dental practitioners to practice in the country for a minimum of 5 years before being allowed or granted a full license. The second reading of the bill, sponsored by Representative Member Ganiyu Abiodun Johnson, was taken on the floor of the House in Abuja during plenary on Thursday. According to Johnson, it was only fair for medical practitioners who enjoyed taxpayers' subsidies on the training to give back to society by working for a minimum number of years in Nigeria before taking their skills abroad. While the majority of lawmakers supported the bill, a number of them called for flexibility and options. NIMSA, on their part, described the bill as ill-timed and a breach of the fundamental human rights of doctors as enshrined in the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria as amended. The medical body stated that the reason given by Representative Johnson for sponsoring this bill will end up achieving the direct opposite, as the bill seeks to enslave Nigerian-trained doctors and paralyze the healthcare system. It noted that the search for greener pastures abroad can be reduced by making the land and pasture green, properly equipping hospitals, better treatment for doctors in the country, and the brain drain will be adequately controlled. The Ethiopian government has said it intends to integrate all regional special forces either into the national army or the federal or regional police, a move likely to be perceived as an attempt to diminish autonomy of individual regions. Ethiopia's 10 regions currently enjoy a degree of autonomy ranging from having their own armies to the right to use their own language. The government said in a statement it has set a direction to build one strong and centralized army and has started practical steps that will allow special forces of every region to be integrated into different security structures. In a statement, the government confirmed tensions has risen in Amhara, but blamed it on misunderstanding of the policy and on fringe groups within the regional force. Amhara forces backed Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's federal troops against rebellious forces in northern Tigray when conflict erupted there in 2020. It is not the first time that unrest has broken out in the region. And then in sports, Frank Lampard says he will focus on the job in hand after being named Chelsea's caretaker manager rather than trying to land the role full-time. Lampard has completed a surprise return to Chelsea for the rest of the season, replacing sacked Graham Potter. The club say Lampard will take charge while they carry out an exhaustive process to find a permanent boss. Lampard was a player at Stamford Bridge when interim boss Roberto Di Matteo led the club to Champions League glory as a caretaker before earning the job on a full-time basis. Announcing Lampard's appointment, co-owners Todd Boehly and Bernard Ebali said they went to provide the club and their fans with a clear and stable plan for the remainder of the season. Remember that you can follow news on ABS, news and programs on ABS from any part of the world by liking our Facebook page at ABS Radio Television or subscribe to our YouTube at youtube.com/ABS Television. Okay. You can follow us on Instagram at ABS Radio TV or log on to our website at www.absradiotv.com. Before we go, here are the main points again. We told you that Archbishop Ibezim has urged ministers of God to desist from ministerial distractions. Mrs. Soludo has highlighted negative effects of poor parental upbringing in the society. We also told you that NIMSA has opposed reps on proposed 5-year mandatory local practice for doctors as Ethiopians move to integrate regional forces into central forces. Governor Chukwuma Soludo has come for a total turnaround maintenance of the Anambra State economy and promotion of core Igbo values. Let's continue to give him maximum support for the task ahead. And that's the news this morning. Thanks for joining us. I am David Obokwasile.